What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day. Perfect temperature. Humidity is just right. Bunch of crows over there flapping around doing their thing. I don't know what they're doing. Not a cloud in the sky. I have my blood orange beverage. Blood orange beverage from Italy. Ah, man. Delicious. So, yesterday I was out here with some posters, some graphics. I had Pan Am, but I was missing TWA. And I've said this many times, TWA and Pan Am are my two favorite airliners. TWA slightly above Pan Am, but not that much. Maybe if I had them on a telephone pole and TWA was on the top, Pan Am would be about a 1/16 of an inch below. That's how, you know. So this was the Pan Am one. Right? Pan Am. You can see Pan Am at the bottom. Somewhere there. And today I found my TWA. Trans World Airlines. Look at that. That's a good looking picture. Big fan of airplanes. So it says here Trans World Airlines. You know what I can't stand? Can't stand when people rhyme girl with world. And there's many examples like that. Material Girl did it in that song, Living in a Material World. Billy Joel, Uptown Girl, did it in that song. She's living in her uptown world. But I'm not a fan of that, rhyming the word girl with world. That doesn't sound right. It doesn't even rhyme. It's close, but not a rhyme now. Trans World Airlines, a major American airline that existed from 1930 until 2001. Launched its first jet service on January 25th, 1959 between New York Idlewild and San Francisco. The route was chosen by TWA's then president Howard Hughes. Wow, Howard Hughes to compete with American Airlines. New jet service between New York Idlewild and Los Angeles. Hughes pushed TWA's finances to the limit to enter the jet age by ordering 8 new Boeing 707-120s in February 1956. TWA dubbed the new jet service Starstream and even gave it its own set of standards in luxury jet travel. Back then it was luxurious. I mean, people would dress up nice, fedora for the guys, nice dress shirt, nice tie. Some of them had a vest, nice jacket, you know, nice material, felt nice, wool, nice cologne, and they would go traveling. Now they dress like, you know, they go into a ball game. Now, where was I? The 707 was widely known in aircraft circles as one of the most versatile jets used in commercial passenger service. TWA's main transatlantic hub was the TWA Flight Center at JFK, John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. An architectural icon designed by Eero Saarinen, S-A-A-R-I-N-E, Saarinen, and completed in 1962, is now a luxury hotel. So the hub at the JFK International Airport is now a hotel. I don't even know if that's current. This might be talking about, it says now. So I don't know what that is. I'm going to look it up on Wikipedia. Remember in the old days, you had this question in your head and you didn't know what the answer was. And I remember I had a little notebook in those days, my back pocket. Anything I would think of, I would pull out my Parker pen and I would write down, like, you know, for instance, I don't know, Tony Orlando, what's his birthday or something like that. And then I would write down, find out what Tony Orlando's birthday is. And so what would happen is that Saturday, I would go to the library and I would have a list of things I wanted to learn. And then I would walk around the library, I would get the almanac, I would find books on Tony Orlando, for example. And then I would sit down and get all that information. Nowadays, you don't have to waste time traveling to any location. You pull out your iPhone, type in whatever, and thousands of websites pop up. So it has saved me time from going back and forth. I used to spend a lot of time at the library. A lot of time. Now, I can't tell you the last time I've been in a library. But I used to go quite often. When I was in the 5th grade, I would pack up my bag and walk to the library. Now my kids don't even walk to the 7-Eleven. Back then, you know, I didn't say anything. I was like, all right, I'm leaving. I wouldn't even say I'm leaving. They'd probably say, where is he? And my mother would say, hey, he's somewhere. I'd go down the library and do my homework there. And if there was a question that I needed to, you know, find out the answer to, I would walk around. I'd pull out the, what was that thing called? The Dewey Decimal System, whatever it was. I'd pull out this long thing and then I'd go through the little cards and then I'd find the number of the book and then I'd search around and find the book, search through it. Very old-fashioned stuff. And we thought back then we were cutting edge. You know, little did we know that in a few short years the internet would make us look like dinosaurs. But yeah, that's what I would do. I had a little blue book, little blue notebook, and I had stickers on the outside to prevent it from getting ruined by dampness. And then I had tape, special tape, kind of like waterproof tape, keep it in my back pocket. And anything, didn't matter, an idea, a storyline, anything, I would pull out my notebook, jot it down. One time I was cleaning inside and actually bumped into it, and I said, wow, this brings back memories. A lot of memories back there. So that's how we did things in the old days. And a lot of times, you know, I remember in high school, if you had a question, teacher would say, you got a question? And you'd say, I got a question. And you'd ask the question, and then the teacher would say, oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up for you. Now, I don't know where that teacher would go and look it up for me, but they would go somewhere, and then they'd come back and give you an answer. Many times that answer was wrong, but they had an answer for you, though. And, yeah, I used to go, like I said, to the library very often. Now, I don't know, the last time I was in a library was years and years ago. I may go now that I've said it, so. Yeah, I enjoyed the ability to gain knowledge. It's like everything was in there, anything I could think of. And sometimes I would go down there without any questions in mind, and I would take a stroll all around, and I'd find books. There'd be like 15 books on my table, and I'd sit there all day going through them. I remember, you know, even skipping school, I would go to the library, which is ironic, but I would. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. One time I skipped, went to the big library in town. I can tell LAPD coming by. I hear them. I hear that helicopter don't know where they're going every day. It's like, let's take a ride, stack up the hours. So anyway, went down there nice and early and started grabbing different books because I wanted to learn what I wanted to learn, you know. So I was down there, and then the library had little balconies with tables, you know, you'd sit there if you wanted to, but I was down on the main floor in the back where, you know, it was me and maybe 3 other people in that room, but it was a big room. And at some point I looked up at the balcony and I go, wait a minute, there's a kid from my school there, my class even, my homeroom. So I said I better, you know, give him a nod or something so we don't feel like, you know, a couple of weirdos avoiding each other. So I did, and then I didn't know him that well. Even in school, we never talked. I knew who he was by face alone. But that day we became friends, for that one day only. We hung around. We found it funny that we bumped into each other at the library, out of all the places, you know. And then we went to Uno's Pizza, Uno's Chicago-style deep dish pizza. And I remember we got a seat all the way in the back. And we were talking. Based on that day, you would have thought that, number one, we were friends from a long time ago, but even to us, that we knew we weren't friends from a long time ago, even to us it seemed like we would be friends from that point on. You know, from that point on, we'd say, hey, what are you doing? You want to go down to the library, hang out? So we did the pizza thing, we hung around for the rest of the day. Once that day was over, we went back to being the way we were before we went to that library. We never spoke again, we never, you know, we never had any interaction. You know, it was just that one day, and that was it. I mean, I know his name, I should look him up, ask him if he remembers that day. Probably say, I don't remember that, I don't remember you. The library and Tower Records, my 2 favorite places to visit. You know how many times I would go to Tower Records and just start off at the top floor, the records and all that, and then work my way all the way down to the magazines. I used to do that all the time. There was probably, at some point, somebody probably looked at me and said, oh, that guy's got to be undercover security. I was not. I just like going and would check out all the new stuff, the old stuff, you name it, different genres. Loved Tower Records. And then one day they said it's closing. And I said, oh, well, now what? So yeah. Today I had a nice breakfast. I went out and ordered a breakfast. Delicious. Somehow when you buy breakfast outside, it tastes better than when you make it. It's all psychological. So I'm going to talk about this Lola's fine hot sauce. Fine hot sauce, all natural, mama's boy. You hear that? That revving? That's, I miss my mom. So doing that. So this is Lola's fine hot sauce, all natural, limited batch, family reserve, and underneath it says very hot. Very hot. Now you can see I've had, you know, because they fill it to the top, I've had, you know, this I highly recommend. This is good quality sauce. It's not only hot, it's good quality. And it is hot. It is hot. I bought some Mexican food and I, you know, put a bunch of it in there, mixed it in, and it was hot. But I'm a fan of this stuff. These things are hard to find, you know. If you go to a different store, they won't even carry this, so you have to go to the same place. Or, do they have a website? I'm sure they have a website, but I don't see it here. It may be here in fine print, I just don't see it. Shake well, pour slow. If you could taste it, you'd see what I'm talking about. But this is one of the best tasting hot sauces I've had. One of the best. It's probably the best. The heat, though, is intense. The way I like it. I like it. You know, I used to go down at Carthay Circle, the restaurant, and they had as appetizers hot duck wings, and I would order those, and they were, oh man, they were so good. And then the pandemic hit. After that, I went back to that same restaurant. I looked at the menu, and they were gone. The waitress said that a lot of people have complained that the duck wings are no longer there. And she said somebody made the decision to take them off. I said, well, tell that someone to put them back on. You know, I used to go there for that reason and only that reason. Now I found another reason, so I still go. But they took them off. And I'll tell you something funny. That Buco de Becco, you know, the Becco de Buco, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, there's one in Pasadena, there's one in Universal Studios. And so I've been to both many, many times. Matter of fact, my kid's first birthday, we celebrated at that place. We called everybody and we went there. We had a little birthday for my daughter. So, hadn't been there in a while, and then we went to the one at Universal, right? Yeah, that's the one we went to. And they had this hot chicken appetizer thing. It said hot chicken. No, it was hot shrimp, sorry. Hot shrimp. And I ordered it. Well, this was hot, but it was crazy hot. It was crazy hot. I mean, I ate it, but literally it was atomic. You know, a lot of times these places, you know, they don't want people sending it back. It'll say very hot, but it's moderate. This was not just very hot. This was very, 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 very hot. Intense. Now, I think they made a mistake, as my bride told me. She goes, I think they made a mistake on that one. She goes, because it's way too hot. And I go, I don't think it's a mistake. But it was a mistake. So we went back there a few times after that, ordered the exact same thing, and it was not even half as hot. Either that or a lot of people complained. They said, you know what, this is just way too hot. I can't eat this. But I ate it. I ate it. And, you know, once you're done with it, you feel this relaxing feeling. But anyway, yeah, we used to go there more often. We don't really, I don't know what happened, but there's a funny thing in there. And one of these Buco de Becco, Bubo, I'm not even sure how you pronounce it now. Becco de Buco. There's a picture in there on the wall. They have all these old World War II style pictures in there. And the picture looks like me. Me in my younger days. I looked at it a few times. I go, I literally looked like that. It's like somebody took my image and put it there, but it's not. It's not me. I wasn't around during that time in Italy. But when you look at it, and if you knew me back, you know, when I was young, you'd say, that's him. That's him, yeah, but it wasn't. Today is nice. We have some Mexican food inside. I'm just not hungry right now. And I told my kids, I said, you know what, let's wait a little bit. Because what happened was, I went to pick up my daughter from school, and on the way back I had a snack with coffee. Had some lightly sweetened coffee, and I had a blueberry muffin. Now, blueberry muffin was small, but it killed my appetite. And you know, it will come back. It will come back. But yeah, I'll tell you the story. There was an old man in my neighborhood, nice guy, you know, by himself, and he used to call me once in a while, and he'd say, hey, you wanna get a bite? You wanna join me for a bite? And I'd say, okay, yeah, that's fine. So we'd go up one of those, you know, burger places, and you know, they had a little steak or whatever. Well, that particular time, I had already eaten. I made a big dinner. I had my steak, I had my, peppers, I had my potato, and I ate and I was stuffed. And I was just relaxing, watching a little television when the phone rang. And it was him. And he asked me, if I wanted to join him because he was very hungry and he wanted to go out and get a bite, and, so he didn't want to do it alone. So I felt kind of bad. I said, yeah, all right, I'll come with you. But I was not hungry at all. We ended up going, and I wanted to order something really light, like a French fry, like one. And he kept insisting, get something good, get something good. He thought I was being bashful. I was not. I was just stuffed. Anyway, so I got a, I think burger and some fries, and I was eating it, and every bite I had to concentrate to chew and swallow it, because I was not interested in food. I was looking at the food, I was like, oh man, I don't want to see that. It was like kryptonite to Superman. But anyway, I ended up eating it, and I don't know how I walked back to the car after that, but yeah. And I felt like, he was kind of lonely, and I didn't want to say no to him. First of all, if you say no to that kind of a request, they hold a grudge. Next time they won't ask you again, and they think you're lying. They don't think you've eaten. They think you don't want to, hang around with them. Which I had no issue hanging around with him, but, And I'll tell you something funny about him. There's a crow going by. Nice, peaceful, like it's 1974. Tell you something funny about him. No matter what the amount was, the amount could have been $30, could have been $50 on the bill, when you go to a restaurant with him. Could have been $100. Did not matter. The tip was always the same, $5. $5, boom, on the table, and then and I go, yeah, this is a little bit embarrassing, $5. I remember one time it was like $100 we ate, and he was looking at the bill, and he looked at me, and he goes, you think $5 is enough for this? I go, no. I go, you got to give a little bit more than 5. Maybe like 20. And he gave the 20. So, usually he would ask me, he would say, hey, you think $5 is enough? And I would say, no, maybe like, 15 or 20 or whatever the amount was, depends. And yeah, so one time he invited me and my family to go out for dinner. So we said, oh, okay, you want to, yeah, sure. So we said yes. We ended up going to this Irish place. It was Molly's. And we went up there and we ate a big dinner, And in those days, it was $200. Good dinner. Now 200 does not buy you even, Campbell's soup. But back then, $200 was decent money if you went out to eat. So we get up to leave, and this neighbor of mine was leaving the tip. He had paid by credit card, but he didn't like to put the tip on the credit card. He wanted to cash on the table. Thought maybe he was doing them a favor by leaving the cash. So he takes out a 5 and he smacks it down on the table, and then he gets up, puts on the jacket, and heads out. My father saw that it was a 5 that he left on the table, and he says to me, he had a bunch of money wrapped up, and he gives me the money. He goes, go put that on the table. He goes, you only left $5. He goes, that's embarrassing. So I went back after, he had, the old guy had started to leave the table, and as he's going out the door, I put the money down, and we leave. Well, he noticed something. He felt something, So he goes, oh, yeah, I forgot my, he made up an excuse, like he forgot something inside. He went inside. I opened up the door of the restaurant. I had about that wide open. I was looking to see what he was doing. He went to the tip and looked at it and started counting it. And, yeah, we embarrassed him, but you know what? $5 for $200? No, I don't think so. We saved him the embarrassment from the restaurant. But yeah, he was counting the money. He's like, where'd this magic money come from? But he knew that he saw my father hand me something, and then I went back, and he was intelligent enough to figure out that I went and put extra money on the tip. Yeah, 200 bucks, $5 tip. You know, I mean, even 15 is cheap, right? You got to leave at least 20, 22. So 20%, 40 bucks, 40 bucks minimum on a $200 meal. 40 bucks. He left 5. And then, I don't know, he was starting to slip a little bit towards the end. And I'll tell you why he was slipping, or not why, I don't know why he was slipping, I'll tell you how I knew. So he calls me up one day, he's like, let's go out to a nice restaurant and get a bite. I said, all right. And he goes, I want to show you something. He goes, I've never seen this before. And they mailed it to me, and I have no idea. He goes, but I read the information about it. He goes, it sounds very interesting, but you tell me if you know anything about this stuff. He goes, I've never seen it before. And he's going on and on about this, you know, thing he received in the mail. So we go out, we eat. This time I was hungry. I was hungry. So I ate my meal. Could have had some more. Time comes for the bill. Bill arrives. They put it on the table. And he goes, let me show you. He goes, what I was telling you about earlier, about this thing they sent me. And I go, all right. So he pulls out this shabby wallet, and he pulls out a Visa credit card, brand new one. I go, yeah. He's like, this. He goes, have you ever seen anything like this? He goes, you take this and you'll give it to the man. They charge it, he goes, and then they send you a bill later on at the house. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't say anything because I knew something was wrong with him, because, you know, he had that same Visa for 40 years. 40 years. Every time we went out somewhere, he always paid with that Visa for many, many, many years. As a matter of fact, as long as I knew him, he had that Visa. Now all of a sudden it was a brand new thing to him. It's like, check it out, he goes. It's a brand new concept or something. He felt like they just came up with this idea about, you know, having something that looked like a library card, and then you swipe it, or in those days it was like the, you know, machine that would go back and forth and make an imprint. And then he goes, they bill you later on. You know, he was all fascinated with it. I mean, like, yeah, I think you're slipping a little bit. So anyway, that's it. Now I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna investigate what's going on with the meal, and then I'm gonna eat. And it's Mexican food tonight, so I'm gonna use Lola's hot sauce. So I highly recommend this. It's really good. I'm not kidding. You could smell the heat off of that. Like, if somebody said smell this, the first thing I would say, that's hot. That is hot stuff. I mean, you could smell it. It's very, very, that hot smell stuff. Even though it's not hot like fire. You know, I know we compare it to that, but that's not really what it is. It's more like a stinging sensation. You know, it's like a stinging, it's even hard to describe it, and it's not exactly a stinging sensation either, but it's not fire either. It's not like somebody took a match and put it into you know, my mouth and burned me with that. And as much of this as you eat, you will not get blisters, you will not get any kind of damage to your tissue. So, you know, it's different. Family Reserve. That, whoever came up with that idea to put that on there, that makes it seem like it should be tasting even better than it is. You know, like you eat this, and because of that Family Reserve thing there, limited batch, your brain does something to make you feel like this is even better than you thought. So, all right. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.